Everybody, my name is Azola Oekwe. I am the gallery administrator for the KZNSA, and I'm also the project lead for the RMA Young Artists Project, which is a project that was developed in 2002 by the KZNSA then curator Storm Jansa van Rensburg. It is essentially a platform for emerging artists to be able to showcase their talents and to also be given the necessary skills to be able to navigate a very, very competitive art world. So part of this program, we are having the professional art practice workshop, which is going to be facilitated by Unlearn to Learn, which is a fantastic organization in KZNSA, currently doing great work in terms of independent art practice and developing art practitioners in Durban. And so Durban and KZN as a whole, but what we'll be learning here today is skills that can be implemented wherever you are. And yeah, so I will be handing over to our facilitators, who is the Unlearn to Learn team, and they will be introducing themselves. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. But before we start, actually, can everybody just switch on their mics and just say hi, so that I know we're alive and well when we're not talking to robots.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, everybody. Hello.
Dennis, help. Bruce.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
What
Hi,
about
everybody.
Bruce to say hi?
Okay, great. We're all here.
Hi there. Hi from Namibia.
Hey,
Hello.
Okay, cool. So we have a lot of content to get through, and we pushed for time. Just before we continue, actually, general rules of engagement.
Dennis, I've got mute. Sorry.
There will be a part for question and answers at the end. So you just allow the facilitators to go through their presentation. Please keep your mics unmuted throughout, throughout, so that we do not disturb the facilitators. So over to you guys.
So, good morning, everyone. My name is Rohini Amritlal, and I'm also part of the Unlearn to Learn. I'm an artist and a curator, and I was also a mentor curator for the Young Artists Project that is currently shown at the KZNSA Gallery. And then we have Kenneth. He can introduce himself.
Hey everyone, I hope my screen is clear. I'm in my mobile office here. My name is Kenneth Shandu, founder of the Unlearn to Learn, which is based in Durban. I'm an artist, also teaching assistant at DUT. I also run a project under the Bujuatic Design, which is a mother of the Unlearn to Learn. Good to have you guys. Let's hope this presentation will be more beneficial to most of the creatives, artists that are here today. Thank you.
Okay, so now Rohini will be starting the presentation.
Sorry, I just have one quick question.
You muted your mic, Rohini.
Oh yes, the quick question.
I am a mature artist that did my MFA at Rhodes in 2023. So I've just started out on the professional scene. Is this appropriate for me, or is this completely towards young and emerging artists? Because then I fall out of the bus.
No, it's completely appropriate for artists across. So you are welcome to stay and join.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Like I said, at the end we will be having the question and answer section. So yeah, over to you, Unlearn to Learn.
Thanks, Azwala. So yes, so today we'll be going through the professional art practice and looking at how one can develop themselves as an artist and develop their art profile. I'm going to hand over to Kenneth as he's going to start the presentation.
Greeting everyone once again. I think with through this presentation, we'll be reflecting on our journey as artists. I don't know how can I call myself. I'm still imaging or what stage I'm at. So we'll be sharing the journey to help you understand how did we came about to be at this stage. So let's. What is art? The wise man once said, "Artist is anyone who is mastering or mastered craft. It can be like a visual, creative, music, can be any form of art. So art is the articulation of human experience, is a way of expressing ourselves as most of us. That's what we normally do. So today we'll be sharing how to become a professional artist. Um, Professional artist, I can maybe relate to what tools that you need to have in order to engage with art platform or art industry, because today we are in, everything is related to business. So there are tools that you need to have with you in order to engage with art industry, specifically in art galleries, art exhibitions, museums. It can be any platform. So today we'll be sharing what do you need to have and how do you have to prepare yourself in order to participate in the industry. So I think we start to the point. Can you please, Rohini, help me with skip the slide? So before we talk about artist bio, as an artist, you need to have an artist portfolio and artist CV. So what we'll start to discuss in this presentation, it will be uh, the professional art CV, which most of us, we neglect that part. As one of the things that art galleries or any platform where you apply for anything related to art, they require those things. They require artist CV and artist portfolio. So we want to break through. We want to try to break it down to you to understand what is it required when we talk about artist CV and artist portfolio. Um, First thing that you need to understand and that you need to have things in order when you compile artist CV, artist bio. Most people are confused with artist bio. Uh, an artist bio is a briefly paragraph detailing your life, focusing on experience and artistic production. So it speaks about you and your journey as an artist. Aside from the work that you are creating, we talk about it speaks about you in art relating, not to anything about your life. For instance, if maybe you work at ShopRite or you sometimes hired by your neighbor to cut grass, they don't need those things. Anything that you put in there, it need to be artistic related. So key things that are included in artist bio can be a year of on a place where you were born, um, early influences that are art related, studies and training, institution, mentorship, or any initiative or any platforms that you've been exposed to in order for you to develop your artistic career. It doesn't have to include unnecessary things. What do I mean about unnecessary things? Things that are not related to art. If you didn't have any formal training in art, you don't have to include the high school that you've you've studied from. Maybe it can be, if you matriculated, you can mention maybe that school, like where you matriculated, but not to mention exact specific into details. Just to give an overview that, okay, this is a grade you've ended your educational journey. And then if you've been mentored, it needs to be a mentorship that is more, what can I say? There are informal mentors. There's a space for including that if you haven't been through to formal mentors, mentorship. So informal mentorship is whereby maybe you meet a friend who can always advise you how to develop your art work and stuff. Those things sometimes are not that necessary, but it need to be mentorships where maybe you engage with galleries where they offer with mentorships, like KZNSA, they offer those things. Also with our organization Unlearn to Learn, we offer with those mentorship programs. So those things, they help a reader or a viewer of your biograph to understand that, okay, you're engaging with art industry. You can also give an overview. What is your work? I mean, about, you can touch based on the themes that you work around, and then styles, mediums that you use. Not to talk specifically like in details about what your work about. You just give a brief overview for a viewer to understand in which position do you also approach your creative journey. And if you have also attained some achievements, you can also include that. But
No, in the
they need
KZNSA kind of workshop. So namnike bangisendele i-email.
so those achievements, they have to be art related achievements, not just any. And also your current location. I know we were born from different locations. That you can include it when you introduce who are you, where you were born, but you need to also tell us where are you currently now located, so that they will see what the position you're approaching your journey as an artist. I don't know, Rohini, if is there anything that you would like to add? Okay, we lost Rohini. Aside from that, maybe we can also talk about artist statement. Artist statement is different writing document from the artist bio. So to go back a bit to artist bio, you write it as a third person. Every time when you write artist bio, you don't say, I was born, I am this, no. You write as if it's someone else who write it for you. Like Kenneth Shandu is a practicing artist based in Durban, was born there, and he's working around these themes. But other more information based on that, we'll give you a kit that have all the details of what we are presenting today. So let's go back to artist statement. Artist statement, it's a description of the body of work that as an artist we create. It can be a statement of the overall body of work. It can be a statement of your individual work. So it creates a bridge between the viewer and the artist, help a viewer to understand what artist is trying to express in the presented work. So every time when we create the work, there are messages or there are expressions that we portraying through visuals. So the viewer need to understand what exactly are you trying to say or express through your work. So that document is a document that is helping a viewer to understand what themes or concept that you're working around. So viewer is amused in the artist's imagination through the artist statement. So without artist statement, it's difficult sometimes to understand the visual images that we create as artists. So artist statements, it also help a viewer to understand all those dynamics, to get an understanding was the artist inspired, and then how did he or she work around specifically about themes. So artist statement, it's also about the relationship between the work and also the artist. Sometimes we create the work without thinking about these components, without like how can I interpret this work into writing? Because some people they hardly engage with the visual images, so they will understand it through writing. So you need to be specific when you write your artist statement, but it doesn't have to talk about you in a sense that it talks about yourself in a what a word. Yo, my English is now is dying. It's like, you know, when you're explaining yourself, who are you? Artist statement is not about you, it's about the work that you created. Yes, there are some cases where you create the work that it relates to you, but be specific with those keys that when you write specific artist statement, it need to talk to the work, not to you as per se. I don't know if you all get about that. Don't mix up. Some people they mix up these things between artist bio and artist statement, and then artist statement you write is as a first person. So in this, for example, in my work, I expressing my feelings through using these images. I'm inspired by how you can touch base on certain themes. It can be maybe social issues. So every time when you write, it's you who are expressing that. So use I most of the time, unlike artist bio, whereby you write it as a third person. So those two documents are the ones that are helping to compile artist CV and artist portfolio. So those are first two documents that they give an impression, who are you and what are the ideas that you work around related to your work. Can you skip the slide?
Can I just add something quickly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just want to also touch base on how artist statements also can be linked to individual works, but also a body of work. So when you are submitting like one artwork for a competition or an application, an artist statement also is linked to that. So you'll write an individual statement for that work itself. And then also, if you have like a body of work, you write a statement about the whole entire body of work and what does that work mean. Yeah, you can continue, Kenneth.
Now, just to emphasize what you touch base when you talk about individual and the collective body of work, there are some submissions where they ask you to write about the specific artwork that you submitted, aside from the overall of your the body of work. So I will encourage every creative who are here that every time when you create the work, here's this something that you expressing. So every time when you sketch or create, you need to also sketch through keeping notes, like what inspired you to create this work specifically. That will help you whenever they ask you to write about the specific artworks. Yeah, so these two documents, as I've mentioned, they are helping to compile artist CV and artist portfolio. So why do we need artist CV? So artist CV, they are helping organizations or galleries, any art platforms that you're submitting your documents to. So someone can ask what's the difference between normal CV and artist CV. So the artist CV is it outlines a structure of format for documenting an artist profile. So those things, things that are needed to in artist CV in relation to normal CV. Normal CV talks about, it depends where you are applying to. So artist CV is specifying things that are art related. For instance, if you have ever worked to maybe in Woolworths, you were packing veggies there, those things are not needed there, because what is needed are the things that are related with art. So never make a mistake whenever you compile artist CV and include all those unnecessary things that are not art related. So the key points that are needed when you compile artist CV. So it's a short profile of you related to art industry. So you can include education. If you have ever had solo, I know maybe most of us here, we haven't had any solo shows, but you can focus on exhibitions that you've participated. It can be awards or grants that you've attained through your journey, residencies, collections, where, who, or which institutions that have collected your work, like your buyers.
Can
And note
I
that
can I
when we
go off, please?
Just hit the cross, you know.
Hit the cross.
Yeah.
Sorry, sorry.
So please pay attention when you list the collections. Collections is not just like anyone. Maybe I can buy your work, but I'm unknown in art
Can I
industry.
leave?
Just hit the cross and you know.
So
I'm going to hit the cross. I'm going. Sorry, Kenneth. Sorry, I'm interrupting. Sorry, I'm old. Sorry. Carry on. You're doing very well.
okay. Now, can we all mute our mic, please? So I was trying to explain what important point that you need to include when you list your collections. So if your work have been collected by KZNSA Gallery or Durban's Gallery, those known institutions, those are the institutions that you need to list. Not like your friend. Okay, my friend liked my paintings, therefore he bought it or she bought it. Okay, those are just private collections. Those things are not necessary, because if you're gonna list all those things, you'll say, the drawing of my dog, my granny liked it and gave me that certain amount. So therefore I'm listing that my granny bought this painting from me. So you need to be specific when you're listing things. Going back also with awards. You need to list awards that are recognized in art industry, not just any, because maybe you can be a person who's more active in those unknown art-related activities. So the reason why we're doing this, we want to encourage you to engage with art activities that try to build up your confidence and portfolio. You can do varied things, even in those platforms that are not recognized. But to build up your portfolio, try to link yourself with those institutions that are known. When I'm talking about institutions, I'm talking about galleries, projects. It can be organizations. So those things are the one that you can document and add into your artist CV. And then when you talk about publications, then every time there are some journalists that they write about art. Maybe Rohino can help me. Other institutions that they normally document or write about artists or artworks. Those publications are the ones that you need to include. It can be any, newspapers, not just any newspaper, but newspaper that mostly talks about art. Okay, so let's not get mixed up with that. And then
Yeah.
contact details. Contact details, please use details. I think you need to make sure that the contact detail that you are using is the number that you use it every day, and the number that you is always active, and it need to be your email address. If you have a website that is related to your art, I will say it need to be art related, not like a website where like you're selling food and then you're including that. No, we need to see things that are art related. And references need to be people that are in art industry that you include there, that they will tell us about you if you are not there. So in most cases, we get people who just send us email. Can you be my reference? Only to find out I don't know this person. What can I say about you if I never engage with you? So don't mix up by adding details of someone that doesn't know you, because you think that person is in that position. You think this person is gonna help you with everything that will be required by a viewer to know about you, and then you think, okay, because this person is big, therefore I should use this person. No, make sure that you use a person that knows about you, also knows you related to art, not to just anything outside from art, because you're compiling a CV that is art related. Unlike the normal CV, whereby you will list everything that you've been exposed to, that you've been done. Maybe also another point that we didn't include in the presentation, it can be your experience. I'll say your experience, what project that you've participated, and what maybe other work that you've done that are art related. I will say maybe if you, I know there are some people that we have here and, that are in part of our organization, Unlearn to Learn. Those things, because it's a registered organization which is art related. Include those things to show that you're participating in art industry. Those things are helping a reader of your CV to understand that you are fully engaging with art industry. Because if your CV is just a blank, that give an impression to a reader that it will be difficult to work with this person, depending what you're applying for. They have their requirements. So CV is helping to see how far you are with art industry. So that's why it's important to participate in art-related activities, engage with those platforms in order to, these things are going to help you to compile your CV. I think if you can go to talk about art portfolio in relation
I can
to,
speak about it, Kenneth.
yeah.
Okay, great. So an artist portfolio. An artist. Oh God, sorry. An artist portfolio is basically something where it combines both your CV and your artist biography and your statement, which Kenneth spoke about earlier. Generally, an artist portfolio is looking at all the artworks that you've done throughout your career, or maybe it's a body of work that you've created and you'd like to send it through to a gallery, or is it for a competition, or if you're sending it through for funding, or any other type of application you are applying for. So generally, an artist portfolio, you get it in different formats. You can have it as a website, as you see an example on your left. So Carla Nixon, she has a an artist portfolio online through a website, and you can also have it as a presentation, so like a PowerPoint presentation, which is generally something that one should include, because when people are looking at your portfolio, they generally look at it through a computer screen. So a landscape format is the best format. So with an artist portfolio, you generally need a title page, which includes your artist name, your surname, and your portfolio title. So if you have a body of work, think about what that body of work is going to be called, and you can include that title. And then you can have your contact information and your social media handles. So it's your basic contact info, like your email address and your phone number, and then your social media handles, so Instagram and Facebook, and maybe if you have LinkedIn. Then on the next slide, you would have a short artist bio. So an artist bio that briefly tells us about who you are as an artist, what you're doing in the industry, and the type of work that you are going to be presenting in the portfolio. And also you can include a headshot of yourself as an artist. Then the next slide would be a statement about the work. So then it depends also if you're presenting a body of work specifically to a competition, then maybe they're only looking for 2D works, then you only have a portfolio that has 2D works in it. If the application says you can present or submit like a body of work that includes sculpture, that includes 2D work, installation, performance, then you're welcome to do so, but also you have to be aware of the specific themes that the application is required from you. And then you would have your artwork images, and you'd have a picture of your artwork, generally a high-res image, so people can see clearly what the artwork is about and the details in the work. And then you'd include the artwork details. So you'd need the title of the work, so the name, and then the year it was created, the medium that you've used to create that work, whether it's charcoal, it's paint, is it mixed media, and so on. And then you would include the dimensions. So remember, when it comes to 2D works, you have 2 dimensions. And if it's more 3D, you have 3 dimensions. And then you'd include your price. So generally, you can include your artist price. Some galleries might ask you to put down a selling price, so the market value. So you just have to contact the gallery or institution to ask what type of price are they looking for in your portfolio for clarity. And then you can include a short CV, so it's like a summary of your CV in your portfolio, which just looks at your very recent exhibitions or art fairs, publications, awards, and residencies that you participated in. So yeah, I think that's for artist portfolio. And just this is an example of how you can position your work in your portfolio. So you can have one image of your artwork and then the details next to it. So the title, year, the medium, the dimensions. If it's a print, you'd have the edition number and then your artist price. Here's another example. So this is an example of a sculpture where you can include a full image of your artwork as well as details of the artwork. Okay, and then we move on how to market your art and networking. So when it comes to being an artist, I think the most important thing is to have a social media page, which is the first thing on your list. So either Instagram or Facebook, and then post about what you are making. You can post about the process, you can post about the final piece, post about where you're exhibiting. All of that kind of helps develop your social profile as an artist, and people start to get to know you. Then you can also create a website, which is an online platform, and create a digital portfolio. And you can you do get free websites which you can create your portfolio on there. You can also create business cards. So if you are at events, you can hand out business cards to people who are interested in your work. And I think also it's important to attend art exhibitions and openings within your area. If you are able to attend art fairs, I think it's important to do so, because there you actually get a chance to meet various gallery curators and artists that are already in the market, and you can speak to them about their practice, but also about how you can join a certain gallery or how to build your portfolio to a certain standard. And I think just have conversations with people in the industry, whether it's artists, curators, collectors, people who are just generally interested in art, even if it's students. I think that just builds up your network. They might also be business people, and they might be interested in purchasing artworks, or maybe get you to commission work for them, for their companies and so forth. And then I think also it's important to enter competitions, residencies, project open calls, because that also helps you to grow as an artist, but also for you to be exposed. So for example, if you enter a competition and if you're part of the top 100, let's say we're talking about Sassel New Signatures, they have a catalog and they'll put your work in their catalog, they'll publish your work on social media. And that's how you get exposed to various arts communities, other galleries, and art lovers. Then I think also it's important to exhibit your work. So if you have access to a gallery, send your application through and they might exhibit your work. Or you could, if you don't have access, try to exhibit your work in community spaces such as community halls or schools and so forth. I don't know if you want to add anything, Kenneth, but yeah, these are just some examples of images of events that that the Unlearn to Learn has taken part of. And also, I think you can also join artist conversations. So like at the KZNSA, we generally have like lab talks as well on first Fridays. And it's great to attend these sessions because it helps you to develop more critical communication skills and just to understand what other people are doing in the arts.
Just to
Yeah,
add a
Kenneth,
bit,
you want to add?
I want to go back to like the engaging with
I
other
think
artists.
Kenneth's not there. Okay, so
Hello?
I'll just continue. So it's also important to include how to be involved in different initiatives. So you can join arts organizations, join workshops, as well as various projects that people are doing. Also, you can speak to newspapers, journalists who can write about your work. You can, yeah, I think just generally you can speak to various publications to help publish your work. But also remember, you can also write about your work academically as a form of research. That's also another form of putting your work out there, and also a platform to get scholars to research about your work and write about your work as well. Oh yeah, Kenneth, you can go ahead.
Yeah.
I was muted.
Yeah. Can you all hear
You're
me?
muted. You can unmute yourself, Kenneth, if you can.
Okay. I'm now okay. Can you hear me? Hello.
I can hear you.
Okay. No, guys, I wanted to emphasize this. You know, I'll talk about my experience. I will say I can call myself as a shy person. Every time when I go to art exhibitions, I sometimes don't know how to start a conversation. But I found it tricky how to engage with people in art exhibitions. You know, because what I've realized, those are the moments where you're able to get to engage with people who are in art industry. Because I think it's a vital platform whereby you can have a chance to meet a lot of people. But in that platform, I'm talking about art exhibition opening. There, most people, they just come to view the artworks. But the main thing that is now how openings are utilized is where you engage with people who are in the same industry as you. So in that case, you need to make sure that on that day you have a conversation with someone who is new in your life. Not like to engage, I mean, to always get along with people that you used to be, because that's how you will expand your I mean you're known. Because if you're gonna keep same group of people, you're not gonna be that known. So you need to learn to engage with people who you're not used to. I think that's what helped me to get used to engage with other people who are in art industry. Because in those conversations, it's just as simple like, oh, my name is Kenneth. Oh, and this is the type of work I do. And make sure you always keep your work in your phone, because we always carry our phones. And maybe you'll never know. I once did that and I didn't realize that I was talking to a collector. And then that when they started to collect my work. So let's break this idea of getting shy when we're in those platforms. And also in social medias, please guys, I think in other uh in institutions or aside from art industry, they always encourage this. If you want to use your social media as a tool to engage with art, make sure that you keep it clean. Yes, you can express yourself to show maybe what makes you happy. I'm there, but try to make it link with art industry. That will show viewers to see that you are professional with your journey. Okay, we can continue with. I think, having said that, if we go to, like, now the question is how to engage with art industry without having much or without having something. I know most of us, we are coming from different backgrounds. We can't afford uh, things. We can't afford to have data. We can't afford to have money to travel to art galleries. For instance, for most of us who are staying in township, most of the galleries are in town, and the exhibition openings maybe are late, or maybe some other things that I can be access to. I don't have money to travel to get there, but there are some tools that we can use in order for us to engage with art industry without having much. So we talk about the development on the budget. So there are some free accessible tools. Our phones, we always have data to go to Instagram. Why don't you utilize those data to just browse and Google about things related to art? It can be maybe call out, other things that are art related. Like most of us here, we known of this workshop because of social media. It can maybe a word of mouth. So you need to make sure that when you use your phone, you use it wisely. If you want to develop an art industry, use it wisely. That everything that you do, it's related to art. Libraries, and today, I think our libraries have been improved. They have internet. Um, you can go and sit there in case maybe you wanna compile your documents. Maybe at home you don't have it's not a friendly space to do these things. Use libraries. There are internet today. There are computers there. You can now. There's no need for you today to complain that I can't compile my document because I don't have a laptop. just go to a library and use those computers. There are Google Clouds, the way you can save things. You can use any laptop or computer to access your information or to compile any document. So let's use those things productively, not for the sake of watching videos and certain things. And there are some peers that they can support. There are people that are in art industry that are supportive. So utilize those platforms. Make sure that people that you know they are in art industry, engage with those. I know we are scared to approach people, but if you're gonna keep yourself in a corner, how are you gonna grow and how are you gonna develop? Because I know that this is a visual art uh, platform, but we need also to stand up and use our voice to engage with other people for other things for us to develop. So we need to also mix these canons that as we are visuals, but yes, we need to write and talk about it. And also, don't let's not be afraid to collaborate. If you know that there's someone maybe who works around that style you are working around, or maybe you feel like this person can help you to develop your ideas, don't be afraid to collaborate with that person. Maybe just ask, how about if we can do the work together? Because that will be a work exchange. For you giving with what you have, you also receiving something from that person, from that process of working together. So don't close yourself in the cupboard by saying, okay, I don't want to share what I do, I don't want to share my ideas with someone else. You're not going to grow when you're going to be that person, because at the end that work will be viewed outside. So if you say you're keeping everything by yourself, you're also not going to grow. And by you doing so, you're not going to be exposed to other platforms, because you just want to do things by yourself. But again, we have different personalities. And then you can join free and affordable organizations and group. For example, at KZNSA, you don't have to pay sometimes to participate in platforms just like today we are having this. Yes, there are some activities that you can pay for. But if you feel like you're at the stage whereby you can't afford, there are plenty of organizations that's just like Unlearn to Learn. You don't pay to get there. Hence, we're running productive workshops that are equipping artists to be in a mage in art industry. So just get used to engage with those platforms. Let's not use our weekends only to go and watch soccer and have fun. Okay, we're not limited to have fun, but also let's leave a space that, since we don't have um, a platform where maybe we engage with art industry, whereby maybe you're accessible to those platforms, then use that time to hunt for those platforms where you can afford to do so, because this is like a self-development. There's no one who can come with a full plate and say, here, the food for you. You need to make food for yourself, and then that is a preparation for your future. So if you're going to just sit there and say, I will wait for things to come, you need to be a hunter, because trust me, art industry is not easy like eating cheesecake. You need to work. I think if I can talk about my journey, it's not easy. Even now, some people they think, now I'm at a stage whereby everything is easy. I'm still hunting. I'm still hungry to get more knowledge. So if you're gonna sit and say, I will wait for things to come, no. And then and in presentations like this, you need to also get used to attend such presentations, because at the end you will be one who will be presenting. So most of the things that you will be observing through presentations, those things you need to keep and understand when they do presentations, how things are done. Because as much as we create the artworks in the studios, one day we will need to present those artworks. So those are the dynamic things that they can help you without paying any thing. So these images are showing some projects that we do under Unlearn to Learn. We open platforms where people, they come and share their works, present their works, and then get feedback from peers. So we do it for free. So those are things that you can engage with without anything from your pocket. Can you help me to go to another slide, Rohini? So yeah, these are all projects and activities that we do that are for free. So it's more of building up artists to emerge in art industry. Can you help me here, Rohini? Just want to take a break.
Sure. Okay, so thanks, Kenneth. So now we move on to like funding and how to apply for funding, different types of funding, but it also is not limited to funding applications, but also proposal writing. So I'll kind of touch base on all about that. So obviously you have different types of funding. You have individual funding, you have project funding, there's educational funding. So if you studying, you can get bursaries through some of the organizations. Then there's also funding for business development. And I'm sure there's much more other types of funding available, but we'll kind of stick to the ones that are related to the arts. So when you are applying for funding, I think the most important thing is to check the requirements of what that funder is offering and what do they need from you as an applicant. So also look at what kind of funding they're offering. Are they offering funding for businesses? Are they offering funding for your school or your education? Is it offering funding for creating a specific project within your community? Or maybe is it funding that's linked to your own individual practice and helping you develop as an artist or creative? I think some types of funding also, well, a lot of them actually focus on sustainability and job creation for youth, women, disadvantaged communities within rural and urban spaces. So when it comes to doing funding applications, my advice is to work as a team or to have a team to work with to build up this application. Sometimes it's challenging to do it on your own, but you are able to as well. So I think don't limit yourself. There's also individual funding for career development. So for example, if you're running a business, maybe it's a NGO, MPO, a PTY, and so on. There are funding opportunities available to grow your business. And then it's advisable to use proposal templates. So there's various online platforms or sites that have proposal templates which you can look at and get guidance from. And also some galleries, if you're applying for an exhibition or if there's a project, then they might have their own template. So it's also important to find out whether that institution has a specific template to work with. So maybe if it's government funding, they sometimes have online portals where you kind of apply through their system, and they have specific questions about the project that you are trying to propose. And then be specific about your project details. So I'll give an example of an application that we've done as Unlearn to Learn through NAC, but just looking at how you need to be very specific. So tell us what the project is entailing. Is it going to be about mentorship? Is it going to be about creating jobs? Is it about having an exhibition? Or it can be anything. You can also collaborate with various individuals if you are applying as an individual or as an organization. So for example, if you want to run a project with a gallery and you're a small organization, maybe reach out to them and see if they're willing to collaborate. And then also think about location. So where's your project going to be located? Is it going to be located within the city? Is it going to be located outside in the rural space? Is it going to be an international project? You need to just specify like where you're going to be running the project. And then also it's important to kind of look at the ethos of different funding bodies. So for example, NAC, look at what kind of funding do they provide and what type of projects do they actually fund. So you can go and look at past projects that they have funded and supported and see the types of things that are acceptable. So with regards to like NAC funding, they have a variety of different types of art that you can apply for, like music, visual arts, performance, drama, and so on. And then it's important to also ensure that you provide all the required information that an application or funding requires. So you have to complete the whole application. You can't leave out anything that you feel like it might not work. Also, I think if they ask you to submit a portfolio or a CV or a bio, then I think you need to include all of those things. Because then if you don't include some documents, then your application might get rejected. And then when it comes to rejection, you will be rejected quite a lot in this industry and in funding projects. So I think it's important to remain resilient, try to be strong, don't limit yourself, don't feel bad that, oh, my project wasn't funded, because you can always try again. And these funding applications are open every year. So I think you can look at that as a learning curve. You can look at how to improve in your next funding application, see the mistakes that you made in your previous ones, and then build onto that. And then I think also it's important to get people to proofread your applications. It's very helpful, or just ask for advice. So like if you know people who have done funding before, ask them for advice on how to apply for certain projects. Can move on. And then obviously there's various types of funding. So these are just examples of funding that are available in South Africa. You have your National Arts Council, you have your Art Bank of South Africa, you have your Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, Business and Arts South Africa, there's National Lotteries Commission, the gallery, KZNSA. We obviously run the YAP project, and that kind of also is a form of funding for artists essentially, or a way to help or support artists through projects that we run internally. Then there's also Pro Helvetia in Johannesburg, which is part of the Swiss Arts Council, and then Africa No Filter. And there's obviously many other types of funding, but those are just a few of the more prominent ones that you can find online. And then you also get international funding. I think the most recognizable one is the Goethe Institute and the British Council, as well as the Prince Claus Fund. And then there are other ones that you can look at, but obviously on social media, you get lots of different types of funding from various organizations, maybe it's galleries, museums, businesses, and so forth. And I think also it's important to do research about those organizations. So if you identify, for example, the British Council, look at their website, look at their credibility, because sometimes people might post about funding applications, but maybe they're a scam. So I think it's important to also do your research when applying for funding. Can move on. And then this is an example of an NAC question. So the National Arts Council, this was for project funding for an organization. So it's important to always include like your project timeline. So when you're going to start your project and when is it going to end? So tell us how long is that project going to be running for? And then there's a question. So they have different questions. So here it says briefly explain the project that you're applying for. So here again, speak about the specificities of your project. So like we applied for a mentorship project. We wanted to enable artists to establish their own portfolios, and we required more established artists to help mentor the younger artists. So it was looking at developing their creative side through practicals, through professional practice, so developing your own CV, your own portfolio, your own artist statement, and so forth. And then we also specified in terms of how long the project's going to be running for, who we're going to be working with, and how. We also broke it down into various phases for the project. So we decided to work with 3 different groups and also different styles of arts that we were kind of supporting. So for example, we were supporting artists who do painting, drawing, printmaking, and we included workshops. So we would have workshops within this project that we are applying for. We also included maybe like the final outcomes. So we wanted to have an exhibition. So it's important to note that you'd like to have an exhibition in this particular space. And maybe you would like to have walkabouts or workshops, artist talks, and panel discussions. And then the next question, which briefly explain if and how your project fulfills any of the following. So is it an artistic merit and innovation, or is it ability to transform the sector? So here we chose artistic merit and innovation. So we were looking at how our project can be very comprehensive in terms of skill development through doing a range of workshops for artists, through painting, drawing, photography, printmaking, also academic writing, and so forth. Yeah, Kenneth, you would like to add something?
I need to go back to fundings. Yes, as Rohini mentioned, there are different fundings. There sorry. So I was saying there are different type of fundings. There are fundings that you find a fund for individual projects, and there are fundings that are for organizations. So you need to read carefully what is the funding for and what are the requirements. And you need to position yourself as you choose to apply for that funding. Read through what are requirements specifically. Let's say it's for individual project. In art industry, they normally send those call out for exhibitions. You need to be specific. How is that exhibition going to be? What is it all going to all about? How is it going to help you? How is it going to help the funder? How is it going to help that area that you're exhibiting around? So you need to be more creative to answer those questions. Because yes, we're doing it for the sake of exhibiting, but they also want to get an idea. Do you understand that for you to attain that funding, it need to be also benefiting other people outside from you? So you need to always make sure that your description is in line with your audience. If I can go to talk about the organization funding, yeah, that one is a lot of work. As Rohini was trying to break it through with MAC, it's difficult to do that alone. But also, there are some questions that are related to the one that I was just explaining, that how is it going to benefit the community? How is it going to benefit you as a participant, and how is it going to give back to a community? So those things you need to be aware of such questions, because you can have all documents, supporting documents that are required, but because it's not going to be beneficial to other people, then you can get rejected easily like that. And then you ask yourself, but I provided it with every documents that are required, then why I got rejected? And then it depending who will be evaluating your application and what is required at that particular time. Because you can maybe use the same way as you did previously if maybe you applied and attained that funding. And then next time you apply again, you use the same canon and then you get rejected. But you didn't read carefully what this time around, what do they want? Because every time when they set up callouts, they have expectations for those things. So that's why it's important when you go through the list of things that are required for the funding, you read carefully what is it required, and then you in line with those things. Those things are important. And going back to get rejected, it's not a nice thing. Trust me, after a lot of work you've done, you're just like, oh goodness. And then it's easy to drop the ball. But that's a learning curve, as Rohini mentioned earlier, that take that as a learning curve, because you need to go back and let's get used to go and write to those fundings. Where have I done wrong? Why I didn't get this funding? So that next time you will know, okay, these are my mistakes that I need to solve. We need to get used to those things, because if we're gonna just leave out and give up, then where's the learning process in that? I mean, for you doing so. So let's read carefully what are requirements for the project. And then I think we're gonna go to projects and activities that can help you as an artist to develop. Can you start, Rohini? I will join you.
Yeah, so basically also when it comes to funding, then you have to list your different activities in your project that you are going to be doing. So like, are you going to have workshops? Are you going to have artist talks? Are you going to have open studios? Are you going to have walkabouts? All these various things. And also like, say, for example, if we're doing mentorship, we also have people who are training others. So you'd also have sessions where you have mentors who are training your younger artists. So that is a project activity. So you have to list all of those little activities you are proposing in your project. And then also there's the important one is budget. So here you have to include all the things that you would like to budget for. For example, administration costs, it can be your artist stipend costs, your mentor stipend costs, materials budget, maybe it's logistics, if you need an accountant.
Please do yourself.
Yeah. Also, if you're the project lead or the applicant, also remember to include money for yourself. So pay yourself because because you are doing most of the work. So yeah, those are just some examples of budgets. There are various other types of things you can budget for. It's always good to find out the limitations from funding organizations, because they might specify where you can't budget for administrative costs or operational costs, for example, if you're running a business. So then you'd have to apply for only like project funding. So look at what your project needs. Maybe it's also installation, it's a venue hire, it's catering. Maybe it's even hiring people to do different services like clean or like security guards if you're at an event and you need someone to safeguard the people and the work that you're doing. And then you also have contracts. So different funders also have contracts where they'll send you a contract and you'd have to read through all the terms and conditions from the organization. And then you can also develop little contracts for your participants. So like little agreements. So if you are going to be, say, employing 6 people for like being the mentors, you need to establish like an agreement with your mentors as part of like the organization or the project lead, because you don't want to have troubles along the way where they might pull out after you've paid them and then they don't do the work. So then you have documentation which you can fall back on. I don't know if Kenneth, you want to just add on to those points.
I think you covered the most, but yeah, going to the a case of paying yourself. Hey guys, you're doing a lot of work. You can't say after all this work you're not gonna include you as a person who've done something. It's important because as artists we are hungry. So let's not leave that out. That's what I wanted to emphasize, because yeah, we need money.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I can start with this point. How do you create income as an artist? Not every time we go in to sell our artworks. Our artworks, unlike fat cooks, whereby we make it and put it there and then get sold. You can create a work and exhibit 10 times but not getting sales. But how do you keep yourself alive in art industry? So you need to also look at other things that will help you in art industry. I will make an example. For me, I print t-shirts. That's not something related to the work that you always see me exhibiting, but it's something also art related, are the skills that I've also generated. So you do those things, like you get used to facilitate workshops. You use skills that you have in order to get some extra income aside from you always selling artworks. So as artists, there are plenty of things that you can think of, but make sure that it's art related. Why I'm saying this, it's easy to get out from your interest if you're gonna do other things that are not art related. I can make an example about myself. I made a decision that everything that I touch or do, it need to be art related, so that I won't be like away from where my interest is. So yes, there are some struggles that I encounter, but I use my creative license to make sure that I develop things that will help me in order to get some extra money. You can also, aside from conceptual work, you can create artwork that are more experimental. There are some like markets that are open up in different platforms in towns. It can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be artworks that are more conceptual, but because of skills that you have, you can create other works that gonna be maybe can help you to get a quick money. Like you can do portraits of people. That's not a conceptual work that relate to what you're interested in. You can do other small pieces of work that you can sell it for extra generation. So don't always coach yourself to be a person who will saying, okay, I'm always wait for money that I will get from selling my work. I don't know what else can you add, Rohini?
Okay, so I mean, there's also different types of careers that you can go into in the arts, and you don't have to only be an artist and make work, but you can also be a curator. So you can work in a gallery space, or you can be an independent curator. You can work with different collections that a gallery or museum has and showcase works in that collection, as well as create your own community of artists. So like for me, an example, I'm like an independent curator, and I always look for artists who I can work with and exhibit their work. So I look for artists within Durban because I'm based here in Durban. And I look at the different types of work they make, maybe the themes that they work with, and I can come up with any theme or concept that an exhibition can have. And then I will look for those specific artists who work around those themes and then find a space and exhibit their work. Just give them a platform to showcase their talent as well as give them exposure. But also as a curator, you're also providing skills that those artists can learn. So through like selecting different types of work that go into a space, how the works relate to each other, and so on. Then you can also become an education officer within galleries or museums, where you can create content about the artworks on display through an educational platform. So you can create things like worksheets for schools, you can create blogs, you can create reviews, all these little things that can benefit students and scholars. And you can also be an administrator within the arts, so someone who's behind the scenes and does all of the hard work, looking through documents, creating Excel spreadsheets, which is Ola does. So yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do in the arts. You can also become a marketing and social media person, and you can help artists post their work online. Maybe you can be someone who creates websites for artists because artists may not have skills to create their own website. You can be a graphic designer who helps artists develop their own identity as well. So yeah, and there's other ones as well. We can just go to the next slide. You can also learn how to do installation. So you can become an installer, and people can hire you to install works in gallery spaces or museums, but also in your own private home. We do have people who you can call to help you install maybe pictures on the wall or artworks on the wall. Maybe if it's also sculptures and you can't get access to different resources, or you can't do it yourself, there's people who can help install. You can also do photography. So if you're interested in photography, like a lot of events, people look for someone who can document their projects, their events, and also just, you can even hire someone to document your work and you can pay them. And also filming, that's an important one. And then you can also become a teacher in the arts. So I'm also an arts teacher, but specifically teaching in jewelry design at the Durban University of Technology. And it's quite interesting because you get to teach what you love to do. So like with an example, like art and jewelry is very similar in terms of the ideas behind it, the process, the making, and so forth. There's also restoration. So restoration is something that is not spoken about a lot, but they mainly do this overseas, and there's very few people who do restoration in South Africa. So restoration is whereby you have artworks that are damaged and you can fix those artworks, whether it's paintings or prints. You can fix the paper if it's getting dampy or moldy. So there's various forms of restoration processes, which is also a very important job, because if someone sends you an artwork to fix, you have to get the correct color, for example, if it's a painting. So there's a lot of like chemical processes involved in restoration. You can even become a framer. You can help artists frame their work. You can make canvases and sell to people. You can become welders or carpenters. So if you studied art in school and you learned how to do welding or you learned how to do woodwork, you can also create your own little business and create like little jobs for yourself to kind of earn an income. I think, Kenneth, do you want to add anything to that?
I think I will emphasize to that point whereby you using your skills that you from your training to use it into creating something that will be beneficial to you. For example, I've studied welding and now I train people in welding. So there are some workshops that I run to teach people how to weld. So those are the things that I do as also giving back and also making a generation for myself. So it's to like hit two birds with one stone. You're giving back to a community and also you making money for yourself. So we mustn't say because I've attained that skill, then that skill is going to help me only. You need to transfer those skills as a way of also generating some money. Yeah, and as I've mentioned earlier, you mustn't being a person who is selfish with skills that you attain. By you doing so, you also closing a window for not generating money. So use that as a way of also generating money. So you need to also make sure that you set yourself, what am I capable of? Because not everyone will able to facilitate or teach. Having said that, as Rohin was mentioning for restoration, sometimes you can do things that are outside art industry, but you're using artistic skills. Rohin was talking about restoration. So I also use welding techniques to fix bed guards, gates, like anything. So you mustn't say because it's not art related, therefore I'm not gonna do it. At the end, you need to get a source of income that will keep you moving as an artist. So you need to use your energy, use your creatively wisely, but also don't move away from what is your passion about. Yeah, to add on, looking at these images, you know, sometimes you can help, as Motohin was saying, working behind the scenes. You helping to facilitate the workshops. It doesn't have to be you facilitating that workshop, but to work behind the scene to help setting up studios, setting up exhibitions. You can be an assistant to a variety of things. That will be a way of you learning and also getting income from it. I will say, I don't know where we are now. Okay, we are here.
I'll just jump in. So yeah,
Yeah.
now we're going to speak about organization building, and Kenneth's going to speak to this a little bit more since he's the founder of Unlearn to Learn, and he has experience in terms of having built an organization and a company that he's also established. But also, I think organization building touches on everything that we've just mentioned throughout this presentation. So from learning how to create your own artist bio, your CV, statement, portfolio, how to position yourself within the art industry, looking at various skills that you can attain, funding, also like different types of other income generation as a creative in the industry, all comes back to organization building. So you need all of those things we've touched on in order to have a foundation of skills and understanding to kind of create your own company or studio space or organization. So Kenneth can elaborate on that.
Okay, so just to jump into that, someone might ask, how did I came up about the idea of creating an organization? It's all about searching and looking at the gaps that are around your interest. So from my experience and seeing myself struggle to expose to certain things that I felt like will help me or equip me to into art industry, and then engaging with various platforms and presentations, exhibitions, I felt like they okay. I'm now on. Yeah. So I was just briefly how I came about starting the organization. As Rohini mentioned, it's derived from the background of attaining all these skills and getting involved with different activities that are art related. And for me, doing so was a part of a research and looking at loopholes or gaps that can be also closed. So I used my creative license in order to identify which gap can I also try.
Hi, Kenneth. We're struggling to hear you. I think it's
The
network. Okay, Rohini, do you need to continue?
Okay, so I'll just continue, but I think Kenneth has a lot more information about this. But when it comes to organization building, obviously Kenneth said that you can use your own artistic license in establishing something. So like he identified a gap here in Durban where artists don't have a space to come together and work collectively after they've either graduated or maybe self-taught artists within a community. So he's established this organization whereby we look at how to collaborate with various artists, but also just create a space for artists to come and share their ideas and thoughts. And I think with organization building, you have to be strategic. So think about the people that you would like to work with, whether it's business people, people in finance, people who are in the arts. I think it's important to establish a collective of people who can help run an organization from various backgrounds, because it will all help artists learn different skills, but also in terms of developing projects that you want to establish. So then you also create various responsibilities for individuals in the organization. And I think it's important to have long-term planning and create sustainability within your organization, because an organization isn't something that is a short-term thing that you would like to do. Obviously, you have an idea of having an organization run for many years to come. So you kind of establish people who can help work through that journey. I don't know if Kenneth's back and would like to add things.
Yeah, sorry guys, I don't know what happened. It just kicked me out. I don't know where it kicked me out at what point. So I don't know where should I continue to talk about. But what I was trying to say is that it's all about searching for the gaps and create something that will be benefit to your community and benefit you. So that's why that's how the Unlearn to Learn came about, whereby I was looking at the experiences of individual artists, counting from self-taught and graduated artists. So through those engagements, I felt like how about opening a platform where all these dynamics, they can come together and share ideas. I didn't have a big vision, like an idea, how is it going to grow? It where it is right now, it because of the support that I get from peers that I work with. So it's all about do what you know. Other things will follow. You don't have to like think deep about it. It's also part of it's a part of creating artwork. You don't need to think about how is it going to look like at the end. Just go with the process. That's how Unlearn to Learn developed. Yes, we're working toward goals, but you need to trust the process and trust people that you work around. So having said that, anyone can open an organization. It's easy, just easy, but not easy. I have to emphasize this because as a driver, you need to know what qualities of being a leadership, but there's nothing going to stop you. It starts by you searching for a gap that you need to close. It's all about why you're doing that. How is it going to help the community? How is it going to help you? And where are you heading with your idea? So you need to be a person who's not limiting yourself with such things.
Yeah, thanks, Kenneth. And then I'd just like to also add in terms of other examples of successful art-led organizations. So there is another organization in Durban, which is called CAP, the Contemporary Archive Project. And they primarily look at photography and archiving photographers' works. Then there's also another one called Made You Look, which is an organization from Venice.
Based in Joburg.
Based in Joburg, but represents artists internationally as well. There's also other organizations in Johannesburg, but I think in Durban, we're very limited to organizations that are here. And I think for us as Unlearn to Learn, we've kind of also put a step forward in terms of supporting young artists, as well as CAP that's run here in Durban. But I think KZNSA is also an organization, but an institutional organization, whereby we support young artists, emerging artists, more established artists, but everybody within the community can come to this space and are welcome to join. Yeah, I think we can wrap up now.
Okay. Thank you so much to Rohini and Kenneth for sharing their insights. I just want to touch on the successful organization, which is Made You Look. So Made You Look is a Johannesburg-based organization, and they represented South Africa at the Venice Biennale, which is essentially the Olympics of art. So those are the great things that artists can do as collectives. And something that before we go to the questions and answers, that I just want to point out that as we're thinking through these skills and as artists, we need to be mindful of the fact that we exist in a very difficult industry. We exist in an industry that has multiple limitations, and we exist in an industry that's quite challenging. So it's very important that as artists and art practitioners, we are constantly challenging ourselves to navigate these limitations and to also think about how we can speak against them. You know, even though we are in the KZNSA and we are functioning within an institution, we also recognize the limitations that exist within institutions. So as independent artists, then when you are working with institutions, you need to be mindful of these limitations and then how to navigate them to be successful, and also just be an artist that's active and question institutions and hold these institutions accountable. So yeah, now we'll leave for questions and answers. And now we can raise our hands. I will just stop sharing the screen. problem. Okay. Okay. I see your hand is up, Bruce. So you can
You
unmute
mind?
yourself. Yes.
You spoke earlier on about selling price and artist price and things like that, and I found this to be one of the more sort of strange parts of taking part in open calls and things like that. Can you simply explain how to come to a final selling price after because when they say the gallery takes 40%, but that doesn't mean you add 40% to the price. Can you, in a simple way, explain how to work that out?
Okay. I'll explain on that one. So I'll make the example of the KZNSA. So as a gallery, even though we are a nonprofit, we do sell artworks, right? So what we do with artists that we work with, we say to the artists that give us the wall price. From that wall price, the KZNSA will take 40% of that price, and the artist then gets 60%. So how then that works is based on the price that you give us, which is the market value, then we do the split. And how it works with other galleries, then they would, or sometimes the approach can be that give us your selling price, and then we will add the commission which the gallery decides. So different galleries have different commissions. Some galleries work on a 60%, some galleries work on a 50%. It's very dependent on the institution. So you'll come with the artist price, and then they will add the commission, and then that becomes the market price, which goes onto the catalogs and to the websites, and is what the buyer will be purchasing the artwork for. I hope that clarifies.
Yeah, I think maybe as an example, I know when you submit work to various institutions, maybe it's the same artwork that you've submitted here at KZNSA, and then you've submitted it at another gallery, and their commission works slightly different from the KZNSA. So I think from experience, it's good to maybe just propose your selling price, which is the market value that the gallery will sell it at, and then the gallery will take their commission from that selling price. I think in terms of kind of coming to a final price for an artwork. So it doesn't change drastically when you are taking it to other institutions or galleries. Kenneth, do you want to add?
Yeah, there's with that it's confusing, but the way you explain it, yes, that's how it works. But as an artist, what I've noticed is that you need to calculate also when you're placing your artist price. If they add that commission, how much is my work going to be? And then you think of, sometimes you might don't know the client and who is your target market, but you need to be also think about, is that work suitable for this price? Because you will charge your work, maybe they say 18,000, and then they add 40%. You find the work is like 40 something or 30 something, and you're like, my work no one can afford. Then it's a matter of you calculating, if I place this price, artist price, how much is it going to be if they add 40%? As they are saying, different galleries, they work in different ways. There are some that they want you to submit the artist price, including the commission. So you need to be also clever when it's come to placing your artist price, that you don't want your work to be not affordable, depending which position you want to place yourself in art industry and what kind of work are you creating.
Yeah, I think we have a question in the chat that relates to pricing as well. So how do you go about pricing artwork to start with? I think as an artist, the first thing is to calculate your material costs. So how much do your materials cost, and add all of that up. Maybe it's also transportation. So did you go and buy these materials with your own transport? You can add that in. And then you can also add labor costs. So like how much would you charge someone to make a certain piece or artwork? That one is slightly tricky because some artists have their own price, maybe per hour or maybe it's per day. But that one is a bit of a tricky one. But I think mainly it's calculating your material costs as well as maybe transportation costs if you have to courier your work to a gallery, maybe include that as well into the cost of your artwork that you're pricing. I don't know, Kenneth, if you want to add.
Yeah, just to add that there are many ways, because one can argue and say, what if I'm using found materials and I didn't buy those materials? And then how do I charge that work? Should I, if I remove the material cost and then I charge for labor, my work will be like undercharged. So I will say then there's no one way, there's no one format or formula to price your work. I always suggest that if you wanna price your work in a way that you'll be satisfied with, just look at how far are you with art industry. That's where the artist portfolio comes in, and CV. How much have you participated in art industry? And then with the work that you are creating, you do the research. Who else creating the work that is close to what I create? And that person, how far is that person in art industry? And then in the marketplace, how is that work valued? And then you can grab those things and then position yourself, right? Then it's me who's creating this work. How much can I start to sell this as a starting point? Because there's a danger that as artists we normally do. We see the work that, okay, my work, I feel like it have more value. Yes, everyone's work have more value to individual, but be careful of pricing your work at a high price if you are still new in art market, because as time goes, your value need to keep going up. You end up getting to a point where your work is not affordable. So you need to be honest with you, and also make sure that you don't rob your clients. But again, there's no standard formula of pricing your work. It's a matter of doing a research regarding the concept and the medium that you use around your work.
Do we have any more questions?
Hi, my name is Reshma. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't see the video coming on, but anyway, okay, I can do that. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. I just want to know, in your last slide on the organization building, and there was a venue with some artists painting on easels facing a view, facing I think it was the Durban Harbor. Is that
Yes.
a space that one can use? Because I would like to do some workshops for artists. So is that a venue that one can use, or was that just offered by somebody?
Yes. That venue is called Bed Center.
Oh,
So
Bed
Bed Center is it's one of the organizations that offer visual art studios and gallery and as performances. So it's a space that most artists that are around Durban, they are using that space to showcase, and we also use it to run workshop. It's a matter of you get some contacts and consult with them to present your idea and then see if they can offer you with a space. But it's a space for public.
Okay, thank you so much.
Imvelo, your hand is up. You can go.
Hello, everyone. I'd just like to start by saying thank you for creating the space for us to learn and share. I feel that this format of having it online is more accessible to me versus having it at KZNSA, for example. And I have attended some things at KZNSA, and sometimes it's just better to be in your own space and you feel kind of like more comfortable that way. I have a comment, and then I have like quick questions that are related to something that came up in the slides. So my comment is around working with others and building organizations, and I really appreciated what both you, Kenneth, and Rohini have shared just on your experiences of creating Unlearn to Learn. And I want to add that specifically in Durban, it feels like we are missing physical and online spaces for us to gather and share and learn as artists. And I feel that the few organizations that do exist may sometimes be exclusionary to marginalized groups of people. So I do think it's important to build organizations and to work with one another, and not just see that the only value that we can create as artists is if we are associated with organizations such as KZNSA and whatever else exists. And in that, I think when I think of what a community is made up of, it's made up of individual people. And if we want to be part of inclusive and supportive organizations, it's important to show up as people who are, who kind of value those things. So I just want to encourage, apart from being strategic, to also build skills and learn skills like communication and inclusion. I think things like reciprocity and being compassionate to people is important. I feel that taking care of your own mental health, your own physical health as a person also influences how you show up in relation to others. So yeah, I think that all of that is important because we don't want to recreate the kind of spaces that have been exploitative and abusive to us as people who identify as whatever, whatever we identify as. So yeah, that's my comment. And also, if that resonates with anyone, please feel free to DM me and we can keep in contact that way. I prefer it to sharing my details publicly. And
Super.
then my quick questions that are related to the slides. Rohini, you mentioned creating a website. Could you please share some free examples of websites where we can house our digital portfolios? And then the other one was you spoke about business cards, and I want to know if these are physical or digital business cards for sharing our information with others. And if you could also, if it's possible, to just quickly return to the slide on guiding questions. That one popped up for 1 second before I could screenshot it. So I'd like to see that one again, if that's possible. I think it came after the slide on the artist statement. So yeah, that's it from me.
Before Rohini kicks in, I would like to go back to your comment. I think it's one of the things that we were also observing, and we're still going through the process of how can we include everyone within this, because I once worked for African Art Center and then it closed down. After that, there was nothing happening for KZN specifically in Durban. So we were trying to revive that vibe whereby we'll be initiating projects and platform where everyone can be inclusive to it. That is why we don't have a specific location. We are linked with all institutions that are around Durban related to art industry. We recently went to Ushwini by Nolosi. We also go to rural areas. Those projects that are running in rural areas, just to make everyone get used to engage with such activities that will help them to emerge in art industry. So it's a lot of work though, and for us, we're at a beginning of this project. There are lots that we wish to also implement. And then we thank you for you raising these things. We're not gonna just take it for granted. We're gonna work on it.
Okay, thank you so much, Mvelo. So yeah, we're going to also share content with everyone who's in this meeting today. So it's like a resource pack. So you'll get all the information that we presented on. And then with regards to like websites that you can use. So there are some free websites like Linktree, WordPress, and Wixit. And then there is paying versions. One that I know of is Shopify and Artwork Archive. I think Artwork Archive is a really nice platform, but you obviously have to pay because there you can also create invoices, you can create a portfolio, you can create other various things, and they also share opportunities on their platform for artists and creatives. And then when it comes to business cards, you can either have a digital business card or a physical one. You can create your own one as well. So like I use Canva a lot because it's a free platform and you can create your own business card using Canva. We have AI tools these days to help design your own logos or own templates. So I think it's really accessible for us today. And then there are like online or business cards that you can use, but I think maybe sharing like your contact details via email at the bottom is also a way of sharing your profile as an artist. And then I have seen this on Instagram before where there is like a card that you can create and it has like a chip inside where you, if someone asks you to show them your profile or if they ask you for a business card, you just use that card to tap onto their phone. So it's almost like a QR code system. And then they can access your portfolio or website online. I forgot the name of that that card organization or business, but if I do find it, I'll share it with everyone.
Thank you, Rohini. So there's a question in the chat that says, in terms from Fatima, it says, in terms of approaching galleries to exhibit if you've never exhibited before, apart from the portfolio statement, bio, etc., is there anything else that galleries would look for specifically in someone without an existing background or large portfolio yet, i.e., what would help one break into things in that sense? So a simple answer for this question. So something that Mvelo actually said earlier was being mindful of not replicating the same structures that we're fighting against. And something that I said earlier as well was that there's limitations in the organizations that we work in, right? So galleries, museums, and cultural institutions, they exist within frameworks and they have essentially tick-offs that they tick off when they are working with artists. So something that you can do as an artist that is still emerging to help break these barriers is to actually actively build this body of work, unfortunately. So one of the ways that you can actually then build a body of work is to